Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most surprising and controversial eliminations on the Great British Bake Off.
Are you allowing yourself to think about being in the final yet?
Not quite.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 10. Matt. Did the Victorians know how to cook at all? Well, if they did, Fireman Matt wasn't very good at recreating their recipes, leading to some disastrous creations.
It's yellow.
Yeah, I probably left it in the oven too long.
Oh, oven.
All of the bakers were baffled by the 19th century tennis cakes they were tasked with making, but Matt struggled more than most. It was all over for him during the final challenge, when he had to make a Charlotte Russe and failed.
You've got all the elements there for a fantastic Charlotte Russe. I just think you've lost it on all counts.
His departure came as a shock to the audience because he'd been named the previous week's star baker, though perhaps not to Matt himself, who admitted that he didn't practice any of week 7's recipes because he thought he'd be out much sooner.
So I'm really, really sorry to say that the person who won't be coming with us next week is Matt.
Number 9. Macbull.
What's the decoration?
It's supposed to be sort of a peacock effect.
He hadn't been in the show for long at all, but when he was knocked out in just the second episode of Series 11, fans were absolutely devastated. Biscuit Week was certainly challenging this time, opening with a Florentine challenge that tested all the bakers.
I like the flavours, but it's not a Florentine. Never mind. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Viewers disagreed with Prue and Paul, however, thinking that Mac certainly wasn't the worst baker in the tent that week.
And in third place is this one. Who's that? Mac. These were absolutely excellent.
He also performed well in the Macaroon Technical Challenge, making his exit even more surprising. But it's always true that the audience at home doesn't get to smell or taste the food for themselves, which certainly makes judging it a bit difficult.
I was expecting that. Thank you very much. Okay, no, it's okay. I just felt it in my bones that it was me.
Number 8. Manon. The Danes are known for their delicious pastries, and pastry is always a difficult thing to get right. So, Danish Week, coming in the quarterfinals of Series 9, was always going to be challenging.
It's just gone really soggy.
It's so dense, it's almost like a cake there.
From the start, it looked like Raoul was set to leave the competition, after consistently doing badly. And then there was the shock upset, when Manon found herself going home instead.
The person who's leaving us this week is Manon.
Some viewers were so surprised by the decision that they accused Channel 4 of fixing the results.
The bread's awful. It's actually turning back into a dough in my mouth.
Paul is right. It's
Very
very heavy and gluey.
Manon wasn't the best baker that week, but Paul outright said that Raoul's bread was inedible, though he did win the series. Number 7. Phil. There were multiple contestants this week that the audience felt should have gone home long before Phil thought, but the public doesn't get a say in Bake Off, so it was Phil who left during the Dairy Week.
Phil's yoghurt cake will be subtly flavoured with rose water and adorned with delicate piped roses, proving even truck drivers can get in touch with their feminine side.
He finished all the tasks and performed well enough, but Paul and Prue explained that his showstopper just wasn't up to snuff and he went home.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the gnome.
That's my dad. Do you mind?
That didn't stop conspiracy theories popping up from some members of the public, who thought truck driver Phil was kicked off because he wasn't the type of baker who was typically popular. This is unlikely, however, since each series finishes filming before a single episode airs.
I wouldn't like to eat very much of it because it tastes slightly fake.
You've really gone overboard with your flavours, actually.
Number 6. Michelle. Following Phil's departure, the next episode of Series 10, which boasted a higher than usual number of shock exits, saw the much feared double elimination.
Oh dear. What happened with the decoration?
Well, surprise, surprise, I ran out of time.
In the end, despite the public thinking that Rosie and Priya should have gone home, Michelle was one of the two who got the boot.
The sugar top hasn't quite worked like a creme brulee.
But nice idea, and they do look very neat though.
The bakers were then hit with a very difficult technical challenge, beignet soufflés, which tested them to their limits. Michelle's weren't the best, but they also weren't the worst. And finally, her showstopper, a pina colada cake, Prue said the decoration was too busy and eclectic, while Paul didn't like the coconut shavings.
I'm so happy getting to week 5. I never thought I'd actually get here, so to be here, to get a star baker and to leave on week 5, perfect.
Number 5. Elena. She attracted a lot of attention during her time in the competition for her often unconventional ideas, like making a cake that looks like a ghost and a custard pie that looks like a sea monster.
This is Elena all over, isn't it?
It's amazing.
But popularity couldn't save her from being eliminated in week 5, along with Michelle. Her custard pie in particular impressed the judges with its spectacular presentation, though the taste and texture couldn't match the appearance.
Can you believe it? Oh my God! Bless all the bakers. They genuinely wanted me to win it because I've struggled every week with the technicals.
However, her soufflés were the best in the group, further adding to the surprise when she couldn't survive the roaring 20s with her vampiric velvet sponge cake.
It's a bit bland inside.
Bland?
Yeah, it's quite dry.
You get the vodka. You don't get much raspberry.
Perhaps Prue and Paul's judgment was impaired by the boozy prohibition bakes. Number 4. Brendan. Should Brendan have been the real winner of Series 3? Lots of people still think so, given his consistently strong performance and the fact he won Star Baker twice.
Yes, and what I've achieved in my baking over the decades, really.
In the end, it all came down to the showstoppers, with John's Heaven and Hell themed cake blowing the judges away.
It's elegant, as always, Brendan. You've been the constant. And again, you've come up with another one.
Mary and Paul were very impressed with John's rich chocolate ganache, but they also loved Brendan's raspberry and almond family reunion cake.
You've got your layers beautifully even, as you always do.
It's got a nice bake all the way through it.
They sung Brendan's praises, but John clinched it. However, in the years since, John has said he actually regretted winning Bake Off and has ultimately ditched the limelight to keep training as a barrister. Number 3. Amin.
Right, so been a change of plan. When I practiced, it didn't go quite well. So everything I'm doing today is literally new.
She was a popular contestant who won Star Baker 2 weeks in a row, but then, in the semi-finals, it was all over for Amin. Apparently not satisfied with her original showstopper plan, she revealed that she'd redone the entire recipe the night before. But this gamble, unfortunately, didn't pay off.
Well, it doesn't look great, does it?
No, not my finest, I'm afraid.
Nobody expected to see her fall at the final hurdle like this, and viewers were outraged considering how well she'd done in the previous weeks. But the judges decide who wins based on that week's performance, so her disastrous cube cake meant she was out of the competition.
I haven't had any disastrous bake. This is my first one. It's a shame that it happens in week 9.
Number 2. Ian. Things got ugly in the tent during this notorious incident, widely dubbed Bingate.
It might not look very appetizing, but makes a nice ice cream flavour.
The bakers were challenged to make a baked Alaska, but Ian's version didn't go to plan. The trouble was likely the result of the show's editing.
Whose is this?
Ian's, I think.
That's Ian's.
Ian's recipe just didn't work, and his ice cream didn't set, but the way it was broadcast made it look like fellow contestant Diana was to blame for the disaster, after very briefly removing it from the freezer, even though it wasn't her fault.
Where's my ice cream?
It's here. Sorry, Ian.
But the real issue was that Ian, losing his temper, threw it in the bin rather than trying to salvage it.
No, Ian, you have to present.
It wasn't a shock that Ian left after this, but that it happened in the first place. Number 1. Jurgen. Surely the most contentious bake-off elimination ever was Jurgen in Series 12. He'd won Star Baker twice that series, but in the semi-finals, he was gone.
I like it, but I don't love it. The flavour I do get is coffee and a bit of chocolate. I cannot taste anything else.
In the first challenge, Jurgen's slices were the only ones not to receive the coveted Hollywood handshake. A bad sign.
Well, I just thought that was wrong. Everyone getting a handshake except for Yergi Pops.
But he won the technical challenge, so it all came down to his showstopper. However, he made the mistake of adding matcha, a flavour Paul is notorious for disliking.
Jurgen was clever with the matcha and the raspberry.
A bit boring to look at.
Did Jurgen leave the show because Paul and Prue happened not to like a popular flavour? Probably not, but it does make you wonder. Let us know in the comments if you think any of these contestants should have won the show.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.